So let's talk a little bit about some strategies and approaches in dealing with people in these potentially high charge situations. So I think actually one of the things when I decide what I want to do, what I want to move forward with people, or how I'm going to deal with them, I run the positive and negative approach. So it's really the positive and negative test. And what I kind of do is I think about when I have a conversation with them, I'll actually kind of make little marks on my legal pad, right? And that is how many negative things do they say and how many positive things they say. Now, you're dealing with them purchasing a house or selling their house. So there's going to be a few things, but guys, when it's all negative and only two positives, is this someone I want to do business with, right? Or am I going to have to make real effort to keep them redirect them into the positive side of things? But guys, if it's a 50-50 or more in negative, is this someone I want to necessarily do business with, right? So run the positive negative test. You can do this with other people you're working with or want to be friends with. Are they always talking about positive things or negative? And who do you want to hang around, right? Who is that you want to do business with or move forward? Do you want these healthy relationships or this constant negative drain on you, right? Also, be compassionate and understanding. One of the things, guys, you have to remember about our industry is that people are in a very high pressure situation, a very high stressful thing. So when you look at the most stressful things you can do in life, there's a list of about 15 things. And we can actually, as a group, you can kind of go through what those things are, but I'll share a few of them with you. But one of them is actually purchasing or selling a house falls into one of the 15 most stressful things you can do. So remember that. And so some people, when put in high pressure situations, some of their weaker personality traits will come out, or they will default to those. So part of this is you need to be very compassionate, understanding where they're at. Now think about this though. Not only is this a high stressful situation of purchasing a house, but what are the other things they're doing at that time, right? So when you think about why do people purchase houses, right? Now if we could go around the room and look at it, but what are some of the reasons, right? Now they might have lost their job and they have to sell their house. They may be relocating, which is incredibly stressful for people if they have to relocate to a very new city. They may have financial issues besides losing their job. They may no longer be able to afford your house. There's a lot of negative things happen. They may be in a divorce and being forced to sell their house, right? There's a lot of negative things, and we'll let you talk through those other things. Those are all fall into some of the most 15 stressful things you can do. They may be getting married, which can be very stressful too. We'll do the other side of this, right? They may have a brand new job, which is very stressful for people. They may be building a house. Building a house is actually one of the most stressful things you can do. So not only are they buying a house, but they're building a house. Maybe they're selling a house too. I always kind of joked, my person I worked with once, she had a new job. She got divorced, had a new job, had a new boyfriend, was relocating to the area. She decided to build a house. And all those things made for a pretty stressful point in her life, right? So you think about what those things are. And then there's also could be loss of a spouse, one of the most stressful things, but loss of a parent. Guys, one of the things, if you ever sit down and say, oh my gosh, I'm just liquidating a house for an estate. Guys, someone died in that situation. And if you haven't been through it, it's kind of hard to understand how that is, but someone died, right? And you might say, oh, well, they were 90 years old. It's still someone's parent or someone's relative, right? So be very careful in that. It's not just liquidating a house. And they may even tell you that because they're having trouble dealing with the emotional side of it. So being very careful of understanding those situations. The highest, most stressful thing is loss of a child, and we don't even want to think about that, right? So remember, you have to be very compassionate, understanding to people's situation, right? One of the most important things is setting ground rules with people. And dealing with difficult people is setting very distinct ground rules. People that have trouble with issues or boundaries, set boundaries of when you're available by phone, when it's appropriate to call, when you return calls. Being very specific on your communication style and how that works will actually sometimes get rid of those conflicts that you have. Some people don't have great ground rules, and setting those ground rules will actually make some people who you feel difficult actually become very compliant in how and understanding of what the situation is. You can't answer a question at midnight, can't get a hold of title company, lender, or anything else. They should be calling during business hours, right? Accept and know you're in a high-risk situation. That's the other thing when, as I said, I don't want you to limit your business by saying anyone that doesn't, you have some kind of, birds of a feather flock together, but it's, you don't want to work with people that you feel any kind of conflict. The real growth in this business is kind of learning how to deal with these different situations and getting to know other people. And it's very rewarding to help those people find a house. But understand, accept and go in that you're in a high-risk situation and there's certain things parameters you need to put in place. I was talking earlier about this whole thing, sometimes finding someone who's relatively difficult and finding them a house and they haven't had a great experience with other people, they become your biggest cheerleader. They will appreciate that you are actually able to do this and you can actually expand your business that way, right? They tend to be one of those things when you get it done, they will refer you business, right? They will refer you business. And it's quite rewarding to help someone that's had 4 bad experiences. And based on your ability to deal with personality types, set good ground rules, and understand the situation of actually finally find them a house, right? Recognize sometimes problems are rooted in childhood and poor coping strategies, right? You have to be compassionate to what some people have been through, right? Sometimes dealing with difficult people and sometimes what's told to us is honestly just the wrong thing. It's just the exact wrong thing. The exact wrong thing, the customer is always right. Sometimes, guys, the customer is not right, right? These people are difficult. Someone has to work with them. Honestly, maybe that isn't you, right? Top trainers, you get all the business you can get. Sometimes you need the healthiest business you could get. As I referenced, if you're dealing with very difficult people or total nut jobs, right? We don't deal with total nut jobs. They need to go to someone else. They create a huge liability. But sometimes it isn't all the business you want. We avoid nut jobs in all cases. Good and bad business, you can be picky in your choices if you're great at prospecting, right? And the pickier you are, the better your long-term business will be, right? Dealing with top trainers and what they say, the rationale, someone has to work with these people. The reality is sometimes when they're not jobs, hopefully it isn't you, honestly, right? Hopefully it isn't you. It takes all kinds, yes, but some kinds do need to be avoided at all costs.